welcome everyone to Junior Achievement of New Jersey's Executive Management Leadership Panel featuring QMA. My name is Kayla Wong, and I will be the JA moderator for this exciting panel discussion. During this session, we will hear from the QMA team, a dynamic and diverse group of successful industry professionals who will share inspirational words of wisdom, share lessons learned, and share advice on how to overcome challenges and develop the skills necessary to stand out as a successful young leader. Before I introduce our amazing panelists, here is a financial thought of the day. Think about this quote throughout the panel and what it means to you. A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Colin Powell. Now I'm excited to introduce the QMA team from Prudential. With us today, we have Kamoy Clark, Andre Frison, Alex Merced, Nydia Montoya, Domingo Navarro, Madeline Tejada, and Greg Vega. Thank you for volunteering to speak and share your story and experience for New Jersey students to learn and grow from. It is now my pleasure to introduce Madeline Tejada, who will be giving us an introduction to QMA.
Thank you, Kayla. It's really nice to see all of the faces. I feel like I haven't seen you all in a very long time. What is QMA? QMA is an asset manager. Now, before I go into too many details as to who we are, I'd like to lay some groundwork just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Asset management is defined as the management of investments on behalf of others. The goal is to grow those assets over time and to manage risk. Now, risk is the chance that those investments are not going to meet a client's financial obligations or a client's financial goals. An asset is anything of value. So it can be a car, it can be your home, it can be a bank account, anything that has value. Within asset management, assets are classified by like characteristics, if you will. So we have asset classes. And historically speaking, there have been three main asset classes. The first of which we're very familiar with, which is cash. The second asset class is fixed income or bonds. And in the very basic sense, a bond is a loan. So if you buy a bond from a company, in essence, what you're doing is you're lending them money. And that company will in turn pay back the principal which is the money that you lent to them, plus interest within a given amount of time. Now, you can also do this by buying a US Treasury bill, for example. In that case, you're going to be lending the US government money, and in the same manner as the corporate bond, the US government is going to be paying you back your principal plus interest. The third asset class is equities or stocks. Now, you invest in companies by buying shares in the stock market. When you buy the shares of a company in the stock market, you're essentially becoming a shareholder. You are going to be participating in the future earnings of that company or the future performance, be it good or be it bad. In addition to the three main asset classes, we also have alternatives. Now, alternatives will include things like real estate, currencies, so US dollar, foreign currencies like Japanese yen. Commodities are also included in alternatives. And with commodities, these are basic goods. So you can think of things like metals, gold, silver, copper. Oil is a commodity, as is my favorite coffee. Now that we have somewhat of an overview of what these assets are, we can get into who we are. Who is QMA? QMA is headquartered in Newark, and we have hubs in San Francisco and in London. As of March of this year, we manage roughly $119 billion in assets, and we employ over 200 people. These people represent 19 countries, so we're a very diverse group. In addition to the diversity of our employees, the talent base is also very diverse. Our employees have backgrounds in areas ranging from investment to information security, to marketing, to sales, operations. We even hire lawyers. So it's a very, very diverse talent pool. Our clients are institutions, and institutions can be large corporations, they can be government entities, they can be endowments, they can be unions. So as you can imagine, that's a very, very diverse type of a client base. And these different clients require different financial solutions. So at QMA, we customize investment solutions to help our clients meet their financial goals or their financial needs. We have multiple groups to accomplish this. The Global Multi-Asset Solutions Group, which is located in Newark, and the QMA Wadhwani Group, which is our office in London, invests for our clients by using multiple asset classes. So a portfolio for one of our clients may include equities, it'll include bonds, it'll include commodities, it will include currencies. The quantitative equity arm of QMA, which is where I belong, we focus strictly on securities. So we invest in stocks, both foreign and domestic, on behalf of our clients. Now, in terms of the quantitative equity side, we create portfolios that are diverse in the sense that we pick stocks from each of the 11 market sectors. Now, what is a sector? A sector, just like assets, are grouped by their individual like characteristics. Sectors, or companies rather, are grouped into sectors by their like characteristics. So for example, information technology is going to include companies like Apple, Microsoft, or Samsung in Korea. The consumer discretionary sector is going to include Amazon, Target, the Walmarts, and then healthcare, you'll have companies like Pfizer and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of how we actually put these portfolios together, we rank all of the securities in each of the sectors daily. And from each of the sectors, we select the companies that we feel are going to outperform their peers. And those companies are selected based on certain criteria. Some of that criteria includes how attractively priced they are. It includes how well managed they are and their growth prospects. Our portfolios typically consist between 200 and 400 or so companies. And the fact that we do invest in that many companies, and we also invest across all 11 investment sectors, helps us to mitigate the risk, the client risk. Now, that's a very general overview of what QMA does. But in the at the very core, our goal is always the same. Our goal is to customize solutions to help all of our clients meet their investment goals. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Madeline. It's so awesome to hear about what QMA does and what your mission is. So that's awesome. So now it's such a pleasure to introduce the panel. So right now, I'd love for you all to take a moment to introduce yourself, your current role, a fun fact, and we can start with you, Kamoy.
Hi, my name is Kamoy Clark. I've been with QMA for 2 years. I am on the RFP team. Fun fact about me, I was born in Jamaica, but I was raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Awesome. Andre, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Andre Freisen. I've been with Prudential now for 20 years. I just made 20 years last week. I've been with QMA for 7 years. A fun fact about myself, as a kid, I would walk home from school every day and pick flowers from my neighbor's garden to bring to my mom.
Awesome. That's so nice to hear. Alex, you want to go next?
Hey guys, I'm Alex, and I've been with QMA for just over 6 years. I'm a business analyst on the tech and ops team, And a fun fact about myself is that I have an unusual obsession with my lawn. Always cutting it, making sure it's nice and green. It's the best looking lawn in the neighborhood.
Awesome, and we'll pass it to Nydia.
Hi, my name is Nydia Montoya. I am currently the Senior Governance Officer at QMA. I've been with QMA approximately close to 8 years. A fun fact about myself, I was born in Medellin, Colombia, but I grew up on Long Island in New York. So I spent a lot of time by the ocean growing up, and my absolute favorite show was Star Trek Next Generation.
Awesome, I love that show as well. And then we'll pass it to Domingo, then Madeline and Greg.
Hi, everyone. My name is Domingo Navarro. I've been with QMA for 22 years. I work in operations. And my fun fact is I love 80s rock music and karaoke. And no, I will not be presenting that today.
Actually, I think I've heard that, Domingo. Yeah, my name is Madeline Tejada, and I've been with QMA for over 30 years. So I started as a baby. Fun fact about myself, when I am not working or trying to chase down my kids and make sure that they're alive and well, like every Latin mom, I am actually out trying to better my photography.
Okay, and I'm Greg Vega. I'm the VP for Information Governance. So as part of my role, I function as the Business Information Security Officer, and I'm responsible also to manage the privacy, BC, vendor management, and records management programs for QMA. Fun fact about myself, I love to travel. It's been so tough with the pandemic. Obviously, I've had to cancel some vacations, but one of my favorite places I fell in love with the first time I went was Italy and Rome in particular. I'm planning hopefully next year to go to Japan. So that's my next goal. And I love taking pictures, photography. So it's kind of like it goes hand in hand. So.
That's awesome. And it's so great to hear about your experience at QMA and a little bit about yourselves. I'm sure our students are very interested in learning more. So let's dive right into the panel. Domingo and Alex, can you share some of your job story? So what do you do to earn a living, a basic job description, why you chose to do it, and what do you love most about your work?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So I work within the operations team. Operations is a large group within the company with many functional segments. Operations in general ensures that every transaction QMA makes on behalf of our clients is communicated, monitored, settled, reconciled, and recorded properly in the various systems and tools that we use every single day. In operations, one of our main goals each day is to give our portfolio managers, like Madeline, the best information and most accurate information on behalf of our clients so that they can make the best investment decisions on that data. On a normal day, I'm interacting with external partners like banks, brokers, accountants, sometimes even the clients themselves. Between all the systems and tools and tools that we use, I think I have like 40 or 45 passwords. So my password game is very, very strong. More importantly, I get to partner with my QMA teammates, including groups like technology, information security, traders, portfolio manager, analysts, legal, marketing, client service, compliance, client reporting, and I'm sure I'm missing a few others. So I just want to give it's a very, like as Madeline had stated, ton of groups within one organization, a lot of knowledge points. If you look across this panel, we have a wide representation of many of those teams that I just mentioned, and I'm fortunate to partner with them every day to support our clients. I've been doing operations for 22 years in various roles and supporting various functions. Personally, I'm a very organized person and consistency is my comfort zone. Operations is consistency. We do not consider the day completed until the checks and balances are completed for our accounts. But why do I choose to keep doing operations is because the markets, technology, investment products, they're always changing. And with that requires us to always change and to continuously keep ourselves educated, stay in tune with all the changes, and thinking about new ways on how we're going to do the work that we do today, do it better, do it faster, what tools we need to purchase, et cetera, right? And the ultimate goal, to make sure that we meet our business needs. And why do we want to meet our business needs? Because our business has to meet our client needs, and together, hopefully, that comes together. What do I love the most about what I do, or what I love the most is interacting with all the different groups. But what I really love the best is when I get to work on a large project and there's this common goal. There's no greater feeling after months of meetings, ideas, conversations, and talking to all the people that you see on this panel, to have this common goal where we work together to build something, and it happens. And that's my ultimate pleasure at that point, when that day comes and it's working, it's functional. It's my happy spot. Thank you.
That's a lot to follow up from, but so I'm a business analyst, and so what I do actually is enable the solutions that allow Domingo and Madeline to perform their day-to-day job. I work with a number of vendors, and at QMA, we are very data centric, very data heavy, and we're collecting so much data on a daily basis. So figuring out how to intake that data, use that data, perform calculations with that data, and send it off to Domingo, send it off to Madeline, the PMs, operations, everyone throughout the business. That's primarily what I'm doing day to day. I like to solve problems. That's why I find myself here 6 years later. I would say there's no problem too big. As the bigger they get, the better. The longer the project, the more people I get to work with. So in my particular role, I have a lot of good exposure across the organization. And that's a little bit about me and my job.
Thank you both for that. I know it's so inspiring for students to hear about the different career paths that they can have within an organization and have something that they can aspire to. So thank you so much for sharing. Greg and Nydia, on a personal and professional level, what impact does diversity and inclusion have on you?
Yes, thank you, Kayla. So for me, the theme I would say is that it's created opportunities for me that otherwise could have maybe been very difficult or impossible. So the first item I'll bring up is me going to college, right? So my parents, they immigrated from Costa Rica in the 70s, and they had very, simple, careers or jobs, right? My dad worked in a factory, my mom worked cleaning houses. So they were able to provide our basic needs, but it was impossible for them to set aside college funds for myself or my 3 siblings, right? So one thing that was great is I had the opportunity to, I qualified for a minority scholarship, which allowed me to afford to be able to go to college. So that to me, obviously, is the foundation of our careers. We go to college, and that becomes the starting point. At work, my professional career, it created an environment where I could thrive, I can develop and grow. And the way it's done that is by feeling, the teams that I've been part of, feeling that my voice matters, that I can contribute, that I'm being invited to contribute. So if you look at me, my career, I've been with Prudential 12 years, QMA 1 year, but I started as a senior auditor, and now I'm VP of Information Governance. And all of that, I think, is part of the initiatives that we have for diversity and inclusion. So that's the impact it's had on myself.
That was great, Greg. So for myself, on a personal level, I would say, I grew up in a very working class town. So there was diversity all around me, not just in cultures, race, but also economically. So I had friends of all walks of life, and that really made me an open person. So on a personal level, it's really hard to hate or judge, based on color, religion, or what have you, because you have people you grew up with that you love, and they're part of your history. So you realize that diversity has a huge impact on you as a human being. Professionally, I would say that seeing diversity, especially in senior positions, has had a good psychological effect on me, because you can see the professional possibilities for yourself, right? They're not limited to one type of person or a group of people that went to certain schools. So I think seeing that is impactful in kind of augmenting your personal belief that you can achieve things. And also diversity in the professional sense, it brings a lot of diverse opinions to the table, and that increases adaptability. And adaptability, whether it be in nature or in the boardroom, is a key driver to success. So for me, those are the main reasons why diversity and inclusion, are so important.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for highlighting the importance of diversity and inclusion. I think, it's such an important part of a company, our lives, and just hearing those personal stories and those really impactful moments and things that diversity and inclusion impacts on other things is just so, so inspiring. Thank you. So next question, Andre and Kamoy, can you explain what your educational path looked like? Where did you think you were going when you started high school, and how does that connect to where you are today?
I'll start with that question. So in high school, I was part of the Upward Bound program. So that was a college prep program that I was part of starting my sophomore year through my senior year. My goal at that time was, I wanted to be a lawyer, go to college, poli-sci, then go to law school, and then take my career from there. Went to college and I realized law school is not for me. Even though I love history, I realized that wasn't a path that I wanted to be on. And so I shifted focus to studying finance. And once I graduated from Baruch College with my bachelor's in finance, I was like, okay, what can I do? Like, there's so many paths that I can take, but you have the typical roles, PM, sales and trading. But then I was lucky enough through one of the individuals that I met during my summer internship at Morgan Stanley. She was on the marketing team and she let me know that there was an RFP position. I'm like, well, what is an RFP writer? And essentially what an RFP writer does is you're helping sales to one, sell the company, and two, sell the product. And so I learned with that experience that usually the path that you have for yourself when you're younger, sometimes it changes, and it's okay for that path to change. Like, there's nothing wrong with you changing your mind and finding something else that fits your personality and fits your goals.
All right, good. So I grew up in Jersey City, and growing up, my mother and my father, they worked hard to provide the best that they could for us. And that led them sending me to private school. So I went to private school from daycare through high school, and then I went on to college. My educational career led me to want to major in business. I've always loved the opportunity of dealing with numbers, trying to figure out a way to, turn $5 into $10. But I've always been good at kind of arguing my point. So I also did law. So I graduated with a business degree and a law degree from Montclair State. At Prudential, I'm not sure that I focused so much on what I learned in college, but what I can say is, for me, to this day, and this is, like I said, 20 years later, being with the company, my education hasn't stopped. I don't know of a point of time where on any given week, and I really think I can say maybe every day that I'm at work, that I don't learn something new. So what I enjoyed about just my college experience or my learning educationally was just the ability to always be able to take in information, learn different things, and then carry them on to the next opportunity. And I do that currently in my job, where QMA is the fourth organization that I've been in within Prudential, and I've learned so much to carry on to the next role, which I believe has helped to make me successful. So it's been it's a great ride. I didn't know this is where I would be, but definitely because of my education and because I continue to learn, it's helped me to get to where I'm at.
Absolutely. I think you both touched on such really good points that A, you never stop learning. And then from what you learned, that can lead you to more opportunities and maybe a career path that you didn't actually think that you would be pursuing back in high school. It's not always a straight path. It can be curvy. And that's something that I think our students on the line are really going to take away from this panel. So Madeline and Domingo, are there any resources or additional information that you think is important for students to know if they're interested in learning more about the type of work you do and the available resources within QMA?
Yes, I'll take this one first. Yes, Kayla, I actually tried to compile a list of resources because there are just so many free, right now, there's so many free resources available that can expose you to the type of work that we do, right? Or will give you a sense of what it is that we do. I looked, basically, I Googled free financial education sites, and there were so many I actually had to whittle it down. So if you go to websites like investopedia.com, which is one of my favorite ones, I've used that often in the past, or even Khan Academy. And I think Khan Academy is one that's pretty popular with the younger kids. At least my niece knows about it. But there are tons of government sites that will educate you on finance, on economics, on things that we'll deal with directly at QMA. But what I would like to do is take a small deviation from that question, because a lot of the resources that we put together that JA is going to be including in the portal were really geared, at least from my point of view, toward having young adults educate themselves about finance and personal finance, for that matter. I know that when I was younger, my parents didn't hand down that type of information to me, that type of education. I didn't get it in high school, right? So it wasn't until much later on that I gained exposure to that. And you make a lot of financial mistakes, within that time because you're just not aware. So what I would really like to stress at this point is take the time to learn about money. Money is a subject that's going to affect you every single day of your life, regardless of what career path you have. So it doesn't matter what you wind up doing as a career. Money is going to be a part of it. So please take the time to educate yourself. And the websites that we provided on the portal will give you a really good sense of things like credit and investing on a personal level, which I think is just crucial to make your lives at least a little bit easier.
And adding to Madeline, PGIM is the asset management division of Prudential. So if you just even go to the PGIM website, pgim.com, you're going to see all our companies, and you're going to be able to read what we do, and everything that was kind of described in today's panel conversation, all the different types of investments, and kind of very, very high level, all the different companies within PGIM that kind of support Prudential and all its asset management. Even just going through that and understand and trying to read through and see what each one focuses on and what their philosophy is, I think is something that kind of ties it to the conversation that you're having here today. Personally, I would even say something as basic as go to your Yahoo Finance on your phone, create a portfolio, add some stocks to it. It doesn't even matter what they are, right? You hear it on TV. What is this? What is Google? What is Microsoft? Like, just put it on there. Read those news articles that come underneath it. When you hear the market is up, the market is down. When you hear the Fed is raising interest rates, maybe not, some of that doesn't make sense right now. But if you start looking at it every day and you start hearing and connecting the dots of the news, what you're reading on your phone, the stocks itself, you might start making some connections. And even if you make any connection, a little bit of a connection, that will build. And slowly, this knowledge that we're hoping, like, as Madeline said, you don't have to be in finance. Hopefully you are working one day. Hopefully one day you have a 401k, and you're going to have to make an investment decision for you and your family. why not try to educate yourself, right, in some fashion to understand what that really means and take control of it, right? Don't let somebody, of course you could always give it to somebody else, but it doesn't hurt to understand some of it and kind of put that together if finance isn't your ultimate goal.
Absolutely, definitely. And those resources are awesome. I had the chance to take a look at them. And students, after you finish watching this panel, I highly suggest check the description box. There will be a link to those extra resources. Check them out, go through them. I'm sure you're going to learn so much. So thank you for those resources. So Nydia, Andre, Kamoy, and anyone else that wants to chime in, what advice would you give your younger self?
Go ahead, Andre.
I'll start with that. The one thing I did not do when I was in school was take advantage of internships or co-ops. I spent a lot of time working, being involved in sports and things of that nature, but I didn't do it. I didn't do an intern, and now being a hiring manager and being responsible for the interns that are coming in to QMA now, I see the real importance of it. It's your first step to get an opportunity to understand various levels of experience that you're thinking about going to in the workplace. So it's something that you should really look into, take advantage of it. I wish I had done it. But for the most part, if you do have the opportunity, or if I had the opportunity, make sure that I'm working to the best of my ability. While it may just be a summer intern or a school co-op, it's your first opportunity to make a good impression of the people that you're working for and to show them your skill sets. And a lot of times it leads to your first job out of college. So if I can go back, I would definitely tell myself to take full advantage of internships and co-ops.
Hi, so I'll piggyback on what Andre said. Internships are really great. I had 2 internships while I was in school. But in addition to internships, I would encourage students to do study abroad. I didn't do study abroad, and that's something like I really regret not doing. And I think because of that, I travel so much now. So I think during like your first or second year, try to get a study abroad program in, and then also make sure you incorporate internships into the mix.
I guess I'll jump in. Luckily, I did do a study abroad, so I don't have that regret. So what would I say to my younger self? So from a practical standpoint, I would say I definitely did not investigate student debt and what that means. So I had to assume a lot, and there were a lot of opportunities I probably could have qualified for, but because I didn't have the right guidance or mentorship at that time, or wherewithal, because you're responsible for yourself, to kind of investigate and say, am I making the appropriate decisions to finance my education? So that, please take note of that and make wise decisions. You don't want to start out life with a tremendous amount of student debt, and there are ways to avoid it or minimize it. So that's my practical bit of advice. 2, I guess, more philosophical bits of advice I would say is that you can't control the things that are going to happen to you, but you do control how you react. So, and how you react will either open or close doors. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure novel. So choose wisely. And the last bit of advice I would say is that you are truly the CEO of your life. So stay focused on your success, stay on your path, and invest in yourself always. Your well-being and investing in yourself is something that you should take with you from now and as the rest of your trajectory.
If I could just add on to something that Nydia mentioned, she discussed maybe paying attention to your financial opportunities that you have when you're paying for college or going to college. That's something else that I really encourage people to look into. I learned from experience. I went to school. My parents helped pay, but I also took out loans. And in college there was this thing called a refund check. So any excess money that you received after your loans and were paid for the semester, the school gave you a check. And what did I do? Like most college students, well, we use that as an opportunity to pay for trips during spring break or go shopping. So now you get out of college, you graduate, and you're left with student loans. Well, if I would have been wiser to take those refund checks and to just pay back that principal while I was in school before interest was being charged, I would have had less, student loan debt. Also, I got caught up in the whole, hey, I'm in college, signing up for every credit card. I got my first cell phone all while I was in college because they were on campus giving out all of these free offers. And of course, what do I know? You're offering me free money, a free cell phone. So I signed up for them all. Luckily, I had my parents to bail me out after my freshman year, but it really became my true awakening to what financial responsibility is. And as we're here as an asset management company, managing assets of others, I just felt that that was important to tell, the youth of today, like pay attention to your money early and make sure you're making the right decisions.
Very well said.
Definitely, that's some awesome advice, both financial and, with your career. And I would have to say internships, like you all mentioned, are so important. I think that there's lessons that you learn that you can't learn really inside of a classroom. And this internship with Junior Achievement has really taught me that. So I too agree, and I cannot stress the importance of internships enough. So awesome. Anyone else have any other last pieces of advice for the students?
Yeah, as you pick your career, you're going to pick what education path you're going to go down. You're going to pick what you think you're going to go into. When I was very young, you're going to be attracted to certain people and personalities, right? Just nature. I get along with this person. I work well with this person, and you're going to kind of tend to go to that person or to those type of people, right? As I got older, and what happens is you ignore the ones that you don't, and that's not a negative. It's just, you just don't feel as comfortable with those other people. I challenge you to make sure that you try to include everyone, to get to know everyone, to work with everyone, to partner with everyone, even if it's uncomfortable to work because they are not the same personality as you. They don't have the same communication style as you, right? Because there is something to learn with everybody. And I don't care who they are. You learn something from everyone. And unfortunately, I think I learned that later in my career, right? And probably shunned more people than I should have, or maybe not worked as passionately with them as I would work with somebody else. That's not right. You need to learn how to kind of get out of that comfort zone and kind of challenge yourself to say, I have to learn how to work with everybody. I have to learn to partner with them and learn something from them. And believe you me, once you do, you are going to learn something. You're going to be surprised, and you're going to be like, see, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have learned X, or I wouldn't have applied Y, right? It's uncomfortable, but please, as you're young in your career, try to focus on that, right? So that you don't exclude anybody, and kind of incorporate that into as you're learning to work, as you're learning your career, as you're learning your path, your whatever skill set that you're trying to develop.
Yeah, I'd like to hop in here really quickly, just because the situations that Andre and Nidia were discussing could have been avoided if if they went to the sites that we provided. So a lot of the sites that are going to be provided through the portal by JA actually address some of those things in terms of credit and everything else. And that's kind of what I was trying to get. That's very important, because as Andre can attest, that can have very long-term consequences, right? It's not necessarily a short-term issue. It can really affect you for years and years and years. So it is very important that you take initiative. The other thing that I would like to express, and this piggybacks somewhat off of what Domingo said, was that learning opportunities are everywhere. You can learn from, like Domingo said, the people that you don't necessarily get along with all that well, or people that you get along with great. You can learn from your failures, from your successes. There are lessons in everything and all around you. So make sure that you take sight of that, take that all in, learn from everything around you. And lastly, don't doubt yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. It's very important that you understand that because you may come from a different background, or you're within a group that is very different from you, your upbringing, your unique characteristics, that makes you an individual that brings something different to the table. So definitely take that and work off of that and make sure that those differences you're putting to an actual good use, because they will be to your benefit.
Something that I find that's helped me throughout my career is, and as Madeline was mentioning, it kind of dawned on me, and it maybe about the last 2 or 3 years, is asking for the feedback too. Sometimes we don't know if we did something good or we didn't do, or we did something bad, or didn't do it as well as we could. We got the job done, but don't wait for your mid-year, your end of year. Always ask for the feedback in real time, and try to enact whatever changes you need to make so that your next project, next task, you're not making those same mistakes.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
I also wanted to add, Madeline, like you had said, not to doubt yourself. I know when I started out my first job, I had a IT help desk job, and one thing that I quickly, or I learned early on in my career, is the first day I went to work, I had to shadow this guy that was more senior, Chris. His name was Chris, and he goes to respond. We go to a desk to help somebody out, and within a few seconds, just getting the information, he was able to diagnose the problem and fix it. And I'm like, how did he do that? I'm like, I'm never going to be that good. Like, that's the thought that went on in my head. And I think it's important for everybody to realize we all start, we have our day one in any job. And I've had my day ones multiple times because I've changed roles. I went from IT to audit to information security, right? We all have our day ones. Everybody starts out on that day one. And don't get overwhelmed. The key thing is, kind of what Nidia was saying, right? You have to manage your career. You're your own CEO, right, of yourself, and is making sure that you're learning and you're growing, and keep tab on where you are. Know your short-term goals, but also have long-term goals, and revisit those twice a year if you can. Make sure you're on target, and there's nothing wrong also with pivoting and changing. I mean, a lot of us, I think, have that. We've talked about it where we've changed our careers, but the important thing is that you're happy. You're passionate in what you do, because that's going to be the formula of success. If you're not passionate in your job, you're not going to be as successful as if you're doing something that you're really passionate about. So that's kind of my advice.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all of that advice. I know that the students really appreciate that. And so much of that is so applicable into our lives, no matter where we are in our careers. So thank you again. So with that, we're going to wrap up our executive management leadership panel with QMA. On behalf of Junior Achievement of New Jersey, we thank all of you for the advice and information that you've given to our students. I know that they have taken so much out of this panel. And again, students, as a reminder, check the description for those resources and links that we were talking about in this panel. So thank you so much.